What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video of the Jaron Ennis versus Roiman fight. Now, before I give y'all the summary of what happened in the fight, I'm going to tell y'all the results first. Jaron Ennis was able to pick up the win via knockout in the 10th round. Now, to sum up what happened in the fight, I had the fight scored a shutout prior to the knockout. It was a very one-sided fight. It was a dominant, impressive performance by Jaron Ennis. And honestly, this was the most impressive performance of Jaron Ennis' up-and-coming career. Now, Jaron Ennis, I think this definitely cements him and legitimizes him as the next potential top welterweight, if not a potential top pound-for-pound fighter in the whole sport of boxing. And Jaron Ennis, I think, stepped up in the level of competition, definitely taking on a high-quality fighter like Roiman, who's coming up from the most impressive win and the most recognizable win of his career in his last fight when he got that upset win over Rashidi Ellis in a thriller of a fight earlier this year. And when Roiman is coming off fresh off that victory, taking on Jaron Ennis, who went the distance. I think Jaron Ennis went the distance for the first time in his career, a full 12 rounds. It was an impressive performance. It was a dominant one-sided fight on Jaron Ennis' part in his last fight. And for him to fight a higher quality opponent than his last opponent, I think this is definitely a good look on Jaron Ennis as he is on the horizon at climbing amongst the top of the ranks of the welterweights in the sport of boxing. As y'all know, there's an important marquee matchup going down next week for the undisputed welterweight title. For the first time ever in the modern era, we're going to crown a new undisputed welterweight champion with former undisputed world champion, a 3-division world champion right now, that is Crawford, who was a former lightweight and super lightweight and now is the current WBO welterweight champion, taking on the current WBC, IBF, and WBA welterweight champion. And I believe the Ring Magazine, the lineal welterweight title, will be on the line as well. And they will meet in the ring next Saturday to crown a undisputed welterweight champion. I say it's the most anticipated matchup in boxing as of right now, and that is Spence versus Crawford. And Jaron Ennis, with him getting this impressive knockout win over Roiman, I think if he gets one or two more impressive wins like this, then I think he can challenge either the winner of Spence and Crawford, and that's if Spence decides to stay around at 147 and not move up to 154. And if Crawford wins, I believe he'll most likely stay at 147 because Crawford, he came up from fighting at lightweight all the way to welterweight. I don't think he, at his age, wants to fight at super welterweight. Who knows what's going to happen? We got to wait and see what's going to happen on July the 29th, next Saturday, when Spence and Crawford go at it for the undisputed welterweight titles. And Jaron Ennis, every fight he goes to prove and he goes to show that he is what you look for in a fighter. He is showing every time that he is the perfect definition of a complete fighter. He's got the total package. He has power in every punch. He has power in both hands. He, I say, is right there with Crawford as the best switch stance fighter. He could fight both conventional and southpaw. And funny thing is, that same night where this fight happened with Jaron Ennis and Roiman, there was another very, very hyped prospect in the name of Jaron Anderson, who fights at the heavyweight division. He's also a prospect on the come up. He is a good switch hitter fighter as well. And unlike Jaron Anderson, Jaron Ennis, he improves on technical aspect when it comes to the sport of boxing. He shows that he's got all the technical abilities and he doesn't lack at it. He's got great ring generalship. He's got all the fundamentals down, and he doesn't get hit. And when he does, he reacts very well. He doesn't seem bothered by it. That's what I mean when I say Jaron Ennis always proves in every fight that he gets better, that he is a potential pound-for-pound king of the sport in the sport of boxing. Definite future world champion, and he's showing that he possesses all the skills to be titled that, and he's looking like he's on the way to being that. And I'm not going to say it's too early to tell, because he is showing through his performances in the ring that he is up there when it comes to pure skills, when it comes to the sport of boxing. And Jaron Ennis, I think this only means for him to step up and elevate when it comes to the quality of opponents he fights in the future. I think for his next fight, it won't make any sense for him to step down in the level of competition. I think a perfect fight for him, a marquee matchup for Jaron Ennis to further cement his status in the welterweight division, is to fight a former world champion by the name of Keith Thurman or Yordenis Ugas. I think fighting either one of those guys would definitely be a key matchup for Jaron Ennis to elevate to the next level when it comes to fighting at amongst the top of the welterweights. And Jaron Ennis, he displayed great skills in this fight. As I said, I think this is the most impressive performance of his young career thus far. Jaron Ennis, he fought the toughest opponent of his career thus far in Roiman Villa, and I think he's definitely ready for the next level. And Jaron Ennis, I say he displayed accuracy as always. He displayed great speed. Defensively and offensively, he showed his versatility, his ability to create angles and attack from different angles, his ability to utilize footwork to maneuver around the ring, show ring generalship, great lateral movement, great overall movement, and he fights very well with his back against the ropes. He knows how to escape from traps, and he is very good at setting up traps and baits at his opponents. And when his opponent has fundamental flaws, he does a great job at taking advantage of that. And Jaron Ennis, as I said, when he sets up baits and traps for his opponents with his very good defense, he will set up great counter opportunities for him to exploit his opponents against. And he displayed just that in this fight versus Roiman Villa. And Roiman Villa, he is a come-forward, aggressive fighter. He is more one-dimensional than anything, and he depends a lot on his power more than his technical abilities. And Jaron Ennis, with his high-caliber technical abilities, was able to take advantage of that. As boxing fans know, styles make fights, and Jaron Ennis' style is, I would say, the kryptonite for Roiman Villa's style. And Roiman Villa's style, as I said, is a come forward, march forward type of fighter. And Roiman Villa kind of struggles when it comes to fighting off his back foot or fighting laterally. And that's why Jaron Ennis was able to have his way versus Roiman Villa in this fight. And as I said, Jaron Ennis, I think the next fight for him is to fight former world champions. I already named potential opponents for Jaron Ennis. I think the most marquee matchups, a headline-worthy matchup for Jaron Ennis to have for his next fight is either Keith Thurman or Yordenis Ugas. I don't think it would make any sense for Jaron Ennis to fight anybody of a lesser caliber opponent than names like those names that I had mentioned. If you guys have any suggestive opponents in the future for Jaron Ennis' next fight, you guys let me know in the comments. And there's another top prospect who's making noise in the welterweight division who's on the come up right now, and that is Virgil Ortiz. He was supposed to fight last Saturday. However, he had to pull out of his originally scheduled fight, and he's on the come up. However, he doesn't possess the same technical skills as Jaron Ennis. He's built up a lot of hype because of his background as well as his fan-friendly style, and he possesses that aggression and he possesses that style that fans look for when it comes to the sport of boxing, that everyone can get behind and support. And Virgil Ortiz, I say he hasn't fought the level of competition that Jaron Ennis has fought. I know a lot of people want to see these two undefeated up-and-coming fighters who is climbing amongst the top ranks of the welterweights right now fight against each other. However, I think Jaron Ennis is a step ahead of him when it comes to fundamentals, and when it comes to the level of competition, Jaron Ennis has fought higher quality opponents and he has more experience. So when you compare Jaron Ennis to Virgil Ortiz, when it comes to those factors, Jaron Ennis has the upper hands as well as the technical abilities and looking like more of a complete fighter. Virgil Ortiz, he's been out of action for almost a year, and that's another factor that Jaron Ennis has a upper hand on. He doesn't tend to have the health problems that Virgil Ortiz tends to have. That's why Jaron Ennis, I say, is more of the legit welterweight that's on the come up, who is not a champion as of right now. And those two are the most talked about prospects when it comes to the welterweight division. And many boxing fans has been talking about either Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz taking over next in line when it comes to welterweight boxing as the replacements for Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford sometime in the future. Anyways, you guys let me know what y'all opinions are from the fight that y'all saw with Jaron Ennis and Roiman Villa. Comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And that does it for this video, y'all. I'm out of here. Peace.